afternoon and welcome back to Questioning Sense with me, Matt. I hope you guys are well. We're all good here and we're back with another quick video. Today we're going over to the house of Lataffa. I'm sure you're well aware of them. They are, you know, quite a well-known house, mainly clones. I think they do have a couple of originals, but we're definitely talking about one of their clones today. Now, I'm not a massive fan of doing videos on clones. We have done a few, but the whole point of Questioning Sense is to talk about fragrances that me and Rich actually wear, and I wear this one, so let's talk about it. The fragrance in question is called Liam. I don't understand why it's called Liam, but there you go. I think there's a blue and a grey, so this probably makes it Liam Grey, which to me conjures up some very strange images. Now, if you know the UK at all, you will be aware of a part of the country called Liverpool. There's a particular area of Liverpool known as Birkenhead, and everyone there called Liam seems to be what's known colloquially or locally as a scally. Think running around with tracksuit bottoms tucked in your trainers, trying to sell weed or stab people. And that's the image I get when the name Liam comes up. Obviously, no, we've got some great Irish people throughout history called Liam, etc., etc. So I'm not going to rubbish the name. I'm sure there's a reason behind it. But when someone asks you, what perfume are you wearing? And you say Liam Grey, they will look at you as if you are completely bonkers, and I can't blame them. Maybe in Arabic or something like that, Liam means something completely different, and I'm hoping so, because otherwise someone in the marketing department at Lataffa is having a laugh. Anyway, enough rubbish. So here it is. It comes in a huge box, considering the size of the perfume. It's 100ml. It's a relatively new one, so it's out at about £30 in the UK. That price will fluctuate, as they always do with clones. If they become popular, you know, the middlemen will up the price. If, you know, supply and demand always has a massive dictation on price when it comes to clones, especially these kind. So, you know, about 30 quid is what it is at the moment. So if it dies on its arse, then you'd expect that to drop right down. If it becomes incredibly popular, it will obviously go up. If you can hear strange noises in the background, it's my dog snoring. At least she's not jumping up and down on the settee. So yeah, about 30 quid for 100ml. And it's, you know, that's the bottle. Pretty good presentation. It's heavy. Cap is pure crap. But the rest of it's all right. Spray is good. Nothing to worry about there. Nothing remarkable. It actually doesn't look that bad, I think. Just bearing in mind some of the garish bottles that we've seen in the past. It's actually a fairly good one. So what's it a clone of? It's a clone of a Gris Chanx by BDK. Now this is a fragrance I adore. It's not a fragrance I own. It's a fragrance that every time I see it, I have to have a little spray of it. Whenever I'm in Harrods or anywhere that stocks it, I have a little spray of it, and I absolutely adore it. It's been in my inbox for an online purchase more times than probably any other fragrance. I've come so close to buying it. In fact, how I've not actually bought it when I've come home from the pub and imbibed in a little bit more wine than I should have, how I've not ended up buying it, I don't know. The one thing that has stopped me from buying Gris Chanx is the performance on me is nothing short of shocking. It opens beautifully, it's a fantastic smell, but I really lose it very, very quickly. It doesn't even really last me about 3 hours before I can't find it anymore. And ultimately, Gris Chanx is about £155 to £160 a bottle. And for that kind of money, I want a fragrance that's going to last me at least a day at work. I don't just want a few hours, not for that kind of cash. I'm sorry if that makes me a Philistine. I'm sorry if that makes me unappreciative of the art of perfumery. But if I'm giving someone £160 for a perfume that doesn't last to me, it's not going to happen. I'm not going to buy it. Now, they have released an X-Ray, which I think has got some slight differences in terms of the scent profile, but ultimately it still smells like Gris Chanx. But the X-Ray is £220. So they've made a perfume, they've increased the price quite a lot to, you know, fix performance issues. My argument would be, if you're selling a perfume for £155 to £160, sort the performance issues out before you go to market with it. But there you go. The smell is fantastic. So I was hoping that dear Liam Grey here would fix the performance issues and give me the same smell for a lot less money. And what we're going to do now is find out if it has or it hasn't. So I'm going to have a little spray now. I've just come in from walking said snoring dog. So I'm going to have a quick spray. This isn't my scent of the day, but I put my scent of the day on hours ago, so it should be okay. Yeah, do you know what? There's a tiny little bit of alcohol that comes across in the opening, but if you're familiar with Gris Chanx, you're going to instantly recognise it as smelling an awful lot like it. If we have a look at the notes, which are pretty much the same, by the way, as the original, we have cardamom on the top, then you have fig, you have black tea, you have labdanum, you have iris in the middle, you have some vetiver, and then in the base you have sandalwood, you have vanilla, you have some patchouli, and you have tonka. So note for note, Liam Grey and Gris Chanx are very, very similar. And I have to be honest, they do smell the same. Not identical. If you put them side by side, if you've got the nose of a bloodhound, you will spot some differences. In general speaking, you know, they smell alike, they smell good. If you really wanted to split hairs, you'll find some unique differences. I think for me, the dry down is where they differ the most, but not massively. Do you know what I mean? This is really, really good, and the performance on this is so much better than the original. On me personally, this lasts me a day at work easily, but the performance is something that we do need to address because this does something a bit weird. So I've just sprayed it on there, and I'm going to spray it again now just to try and iterate. I mean, the spray is fantastic, but as this hits my skin, you get a tiny, tiny bit of alcohol, and then you go straight into the cardamom, the fig, and the tea. And then there's the creaminess of the iris is all present from the off. This is massive when it hits my skin. It just goes boom. And you think, good Lord, this is a strong, potent, huge sillage perfume. But it's not. What happens is this explodes and then it dies off pretty quickly. You just get this massive cloud. And you know, you move your hand and you're like, bloody hell, this is everywhere. But it soon drops off and becomes quite a close fragrance. It's not quite a skin scent, but it's more in the world of a skin scent, but it does last for hours. The other thing is, if you get this on clothing, it seems to keep that light, really huge performance. So if you get it on your shirt, you know, it's just massive and constant. But on your skin, it will dry off quite quickly. But it's a lovely, lovely perfume. The cardamom and the fig are really, really noticeable. And because of the sweetness that's coming through this, the cardamom doesn't ever get the chance to fall into that gourmand world. So it is actually a spice, and it's not like a savoury element, which works really, really well. The iris and the vetiver are interesting. The vetiver I don't really get much at all, but the iris I do pick up on. It adds that kind of buttery creaminess that you would expect that sits with everything. The one thing that really makes this different from the original is the fig. I don't think Lataffa have done a particularly good job of the fig because to me it smells more like coconut. And that does happen in perfumery a fair bit. I've seen, you know, I've got quite a few fig-based fragrances, and sometimes you get that real natural smell of the fig, and sometimes it will turn into more of a coconutty vibe. And that's what's happened here. I get a really sort of creamy coconutty iris that comes in, and then it gets even better. At the top, you've got all these beautiful notes that you're really going to enjoy. But as it dries down, and this is where I love this fragrance. I mean, I like all stages of it, but in the dry down, the sandalwood takes over. And I don't know whether it was intentional or it's a mistake, but the sandalwood comes across as really, really creamy and natural. It could just be the tonka and whatever the Javanol is or whatever they've used for sandalwood. But it works. It smells wonderful. It's this lovely creamy sandalwood. And if the whole fragrance was just those base notes, it would be worth having just for that. Because if you are a sandalwood fan, which I am, you're going to love it. It's just fabulous. You know, this whole journey is pretty good. It's a big creamy blob on your skin that gets a little more interesting as time goes by. But it really, really lasts well. So if I wore this to work, for example, which I have done, you know, you've got that first rush, you know, the massive sillage, the strong projection, and then by the time I come home from work, I smell like I'm wearing a beautiful sandalwood fragrance. So in terms of performance, I really, really like it. In terms of smell, I really, really like it. My only issue with it is my wife. And the issue is she's nicked it. She adores it. So it is completely unisex. Anyone can wear it. My wife likes her perfumes to be quite feminine, and she never goes near any of my more masculine fragrances. I know some women really like to wear masculine fragrances, and I generally think a masculine fragrance on a woman can be really, really good. You know, sometimes a softer skin seems to just break the fragrance down a bit and change it and make it into, you know, something quite unique. But my wife never really goes near any of my masculine fragrances, but she loves this. She absolutely adores it. So this is one of hers that she wears to work now. So that's gone, by the way, that's not mine anymore. So she wears that to work. So, you know, the point I'm trying to use my wife's light-fingered perfume stealing antics to illustrate that it is a completely unisex fragrance. I think in summary, this is 30 quid well spent. The box is ridiculous, but the bottle's really quite good. Don't touch the cap, put it on your display, put it with your other fragrances, and it looks all right. More importantly though, the fragrance itself wears really well. You'll enjoy this one. Because it's a thick, creamy fragrance, it does smell sweet and it does smell quite alluring. It's a nice one. It's not going to be much use to you in warm weather because I think it's just going to be too thick, too creamy. You know, I'd like something a little bit fresher, a little bit more defined perhaps in warmer weather. But it wears well. You know, it's a nice one to wear, and I think in terms of value, it's really, really good value. So yeah, it's a thumbs up from me. I don't think I mean, let's face it, I was never going to buy the original £155 for such performance on my skin. It might work really well for you, but for me it doesn't. And I'm certainly not paying £220 for the extrait of Gris Chanx when I can pay 30 quid, or I have paid 30 quid for this, and this will do me. So yeah, yeah, it's a good one. You know, it's a clone. I'm not a massive fan of clones ultimately, but it's a good one. It works all right. It will save you a few quid. It will scratch that itch, and you will enjoy wearing it. So there you have it. My take on the weirdly named Liam Grey from Lataffa. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for your time. We will be back soon with yet more videos. I've got a massive pile of perfumes piling up that I need to get through, obviously wear and enjoy, and then rabbit on about them on a video. So thank you always for your time, and we will see you on the next video. So cheers, thanks, Em. Bye.